Hi, everyone, and welcome to Inland Empire Sports Talk. Today I'm with the baseball coach from Ramona, Clint Ball. Clint, thanks for
Hello.
being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So tell the folks at home a little bit about your background as a head coach at Ramona.
At Ramona, I have been there for about 21 years. This next school year will be my 21st. I will have been the head coach the last 11 years, starting next season. Been off and on assistant and head coach since I got there in 0102.
And tell a little bit about your baseball background as well.
As far as my background, I played 2 years up at Victor Valley College. Left Las Vegas. There was only UNLV there at that time. Clark County Community College wasn't even in existence. Played my 2 years at Victor. Came down to Cal State San Bernardino and finished my 2 years playing there. 97 was my senior year.
So we kind of have a coming home party for those of you that don't know, because we had the Cal State San Bernardino coach in here just beforehand. And we were talking about Don Parnell, and he was an institution at Cal State San Bernardino for the longest time.
Yeah. Both myself and my brother actually played for him. 99, I think my brother was there. So, yeah, we had both of us play at Cal State San Bernardino.
So what would you say is your fondest baseball memory as a player?
The road trips, just being on the road with the guys and getting to compete. I know that being D2, we got to play a couple different D1 schools. BYU came to us once, played Cal State Northridge, Adam Kennedy raked. But yeah, just the road trips with the guys, that was something that I don't think I'll ever forget. Maybe not every particular detail, but just going out and playing baseball and, getting to visit different places.
I know a lot of the people that we've been talking to talk, especially in the baseball, softball realm, same thing with football, that it's so much like a family because you have a we mentality versus a me mentality.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
if you talk a little bit about the culture that you try to instill in your players in that family atmosphere.
Yeah, it's you got to be willing to fight with each other. Band of brothers, obviously, a few years old now, but still that type of mentality where never leave anybody behind, and we're here for each other. If you're asked to sack bunt, it's for the better of the team, not your individual stats, and do what it takes to win as a group. That's something that's really emphasized within our program.
I love that you actually talk about bunting because we don't see it as much anymore with launch angle and the shift and all the other things that are, I want to say, popular in baseball currently. How would you define yourself or say your style of coaching is?
I like to swing. I like to bang. We typically have a fair number of strikeouts, but then again, we have a fair number of extra base hits as well. I'm a huge fan of trying to hit it as hard as you can into the gap. We try to preach just a couple feet over the second baseman shortstop's head and let it roll in the alley. It's hard to catch when it's rolling hard on the grass. But at the same time, there are times in a game where you do have to resort to small ball just to, ensure that you've got the runner in scoring position to where a balk, a pass ball, something could benefit you.
Now, how much pressure, because obviously every team likes to work fast, some like to work slow. We were talking to Gary Agcock from CBU about that earlier this week, where everything is go, 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 get on the bump, let's go, put the pressure on the other team.
Absolutely.
Versus there's another way of thinking about it from Arizona, UCLA, where it's like, no, let's slow the game down. It's my pace, it's my time, it's my area. Where on that fence do you kind of lie?
A controlled tempo. Pitcher has to work at their pace that they're feeling comfortable with. If you're pounding the zone and getting quick outs, you are putting more pressure on the other team versus walk around the mound and drown out in a bat and make a kid kind of lull themselves to sleep. There are times where, we go, and then there are times where we back off a little bit just to help keep the composure. But you definitely don't want your defense falling asleep on you. That's one downside to the slower pace game. We just try to get in there and have our pitchers pound the zone, and kids will get themselves out. This is high school. It isn't the next level where you miss over the plate and you're looking at a 3-run bomb or something. Kids get themselves out more times than not.
So talking about that in the next level, what are the major differences that you try to prepare your kids for? From going from, okay, you were a 500 hitter in high school. realistically, you're probably going to be a 300 hitter at best.
best.
At the JC, D2, D1 level, probably going to redshirt and need to add 40 pounds of muscle on.
Absolutely.
Versus a kid that might be draft eligible and is looking like, how do you walk a kid or parents through those steps and kind of give them a roadmap?
Our emphasis is in the weight room. High school kids obviously haven't matured physically yet, but to try to get them prepared, we do the 6 a.m. weights. That's typically how it will go in college. The high pressure situations, on the field where you have to be able to execute 99% of the time, and just try to get them mentally ready to be able to perform at the next level. As far as D1 guys, they need to understand that, there are so many players in just the state of California, much less Nevada, Arizona bordering us, that if you're a stud, the coaches are looking at you. So you better be the stud just to be able to go in and try to compete. And you had mentioned redshirt. I think JUCO is an excellent route for a lot of guys just because you get that opportunity to play right away versus that red shirt because, hey, I was a stud in high school. Well, if you're going to ASU, they're recruiting All-Americans every year. So your high school status doesn't hold any clout when you get to that next level if you're talking that elite D1 level.
Yeah, and especially I think this year is going to be a wake-up call because you have seniors that should have graduated.
Exactly.
That get another year of eligibility. You have the Major League Draft that went from 40 rounds to potentially down to even 5 rounds.
Correct.
So you're going to have a lot of players in a very – I mean, baseball has the largest roster of almost anyone.
Yeah.
But even then you're still going to be like, oh, we're only going to have 9 players on the field. We're going to have a 35-man roster, but realistically they have a pool of 50, if not more.
Yeah.
The density is going to be outstanding this year to see how that product comes out.
Yeah, the graduating seniors are definitely going to be behind the 8 ball when it comes to that with the 5th year, 6th year seniors coming back to get their last year of eligibility to play. It's going to put them in a bind. They better be ready for what's in front of them mentally and physically.
So successfully you've taken Ramona from, I remember walking on campus 10 years ago with Dave Mills and working with a few camps and clinics with you and seeing the facility and then how much care you've taken with it, like even to where you were posting this week. Basically, I joke with Millsy at one point, I'm like, does Clint just go out there with like a pair of barber scissors and on his hands and knees?
It feels like it at times. But pride in your facility. If you have nice stuff, the kids do want to come out there and they do want to, take pride in that as well. I try to lead by example, showing them I'm not afraid to put the work in. Don't be yourselves. So, by having the nice groomed grass, the edges, the dirt that's nice and all that good stuff, just try to pass that on to the kids saying, take care of your stuff. And, hopefully you'll play better because of that. Just mentally, hey, I'm not going to get that bad hop or have to worry about anything like that.
Do you see that as an advantage when you go to other schools or facilities that aren't as well kept, or like just the morale of you walk on to a field and it doesn't take away from you? It doesn't take away from your energy.
Correct. Yeah, no, we had, I think 5-6 years ago, did that artificial turf around the dish, and it was one of the newer ones in the area, and people came over and were always looking at it. And when we would go to another place, it's like, oh, we've already got that. So yeah, kids notice the little stuff. Oh, this field isn't taken care of, and they'll go do their little fundy stuff and look for hops and that kind of stuff. So they definitely see what is being taken care of and what isn't.
I know we're here in Riverside, and you have Division I, D2 programs all around you, and then talk to us a little bit about like CAF and your seating and how you guys seat as you're trying to basically run a Division I program. You play in the fall against everyone in Riverside.
Yeah.
You play pretty much everyone in Riverside as a non-conference, non-league piece.
Try to, yeah.
But you're technically designed as a Division VI.
Yeah.
So what differences do you see between the different levels even in high school?
Consistency. Usually the upper level teams, North and King and Polly are typically ahead of us. Arlington most of the time as well, who is joining our league next year. They have more guys going higher levels, I guess. We don't necessarily try to emphasize going to a JUCO. Obviously, try to go as high as you can go. But with that upper level, the consistency is something that I've noticed.
And do you also notice just the level of competition that they see in that consistency? Do you think that brings them up, or?
Yeah, no. Obviously, if you're playing higher level, type guys, you need to try to hang with them. It's like the little brother trying to hang with the big brother, analogy, where if you're going to be able to hang with brother, you better be able to catch the ball, throw the ball, hit the ball, etc.
So what do you think are the biggest pitfalls for you as a coach in Riverside and at Ramona specifically?
The one thing that I have always noticed, and again, I'm a Vegas guy, but when I got out here, we're the only school in the Riverside Unified that's on the other side of the tracks. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but for whatever reason, we're the only one on the other side of the tracks.
It seems like since with Susan Mills now moving over, like you guys have been getting a lot more attention as of late. You have a brand new, beautiful football facility.
Yes.
They obviously did a lot of work for your field. And then even just in the gym, I know your AD has always been talking to me about, let's add this. Yeah. What can we do to make the student experience better?
Absolutely.
So what are some of the things that you guys do or try to do to make the student experience better on your field?
Maintaining the annual overseed is the issue. It costs a fair amount of money. You get to fundraise for that. But just making sure that we try to have some of the nicest stuff that the kids can possibly have. Mm-hmm. Obviously, money cures all. But at the same time, the support from admin has been phenomenal since I've taken over. John Tibbles does a great job with all athletics. The rejuvenation of our facilities starting with the football stadium and then pushing everything back. Our field and Shiner's softball field are back to back now, and when we're both playing home games, you get to see the community support out there, and that in turn helps with the students, the student athletes, and what they get to see around them.
So talking about the student athlete now, is there a particular type of athlete that you like or you look for as a coach?
Obviously, we're high school. We're in a situation where kids choose whatever high school they're going to. We encourage guys to be two-way guys as far as pitcher infielder, pitcher outfielder. Obviously, speed helps regardless of what position you're playing. But as far as type of athlete, just athletic in general. The little skills we can teach all that kind of stuff, but just being athletic minded and willing to learn, being a coachable athlete is something that is high on the list of what I like to see in kids coming in.
Now, do you find, especially I was a catcher, so when I was in high school, I was actually allowed after my sophomore year to start to call my own game.
Got it.
Is that something that you guys allow, or do you call the game? Do you try to teach your pitchers, catchers, etc., to start to evolve their own style of calling a game?
Absolutely. Our senior catcher this year was a 4-year starter on the varsity. There would be a few suggestions throughout the game, but for the most part, he was calling his own game after his sophomore year, getting to know the pitchers, what pitches work well in what situations, and what their go-to pitch was. Yes, if you're going to be a catcher, I want you to be able to leave here with the knowledge base of here's what I need to do in this situation with this hitter the second, third time up. Just knowing how the game works is part of being a catcher.
Now, do you also instill that with your middle infielders or your first baseman? So if they see something that's off, they can call time, come in and be like, hey, I'm noticing that you're not getting enough or push, your elbow's too low, anything like that?
We have a few two-way guys that they'll say, hey man, I noticed you're dropping your elbow or you're not, stride, whatever, and they will call timeout. And it's nice that they're picking up on different things as well. That mentally means they're in the game and paying attention to the little aspects that need to be paid attention to.
Okay, so I'm gonna take some personal time for me. Let's talk about umpire and coach relationships.
I have never been thrown out of a game. We try to work well with the umpires. I know that some of the calls have to be judgment calls, and they don't always go your way. I'm of the opinion that everybody's out there to do their best. I would like to think nobody's out to jam anybody up, but there are certain guys that come out there and it's like, this might be a long day, especially behind the plate, tight zone, whatever. And then there are other umpires that come in and it's like, hey, this is going to be a good one just because we know that, they work well with, our catcher, whatever. Having had a limited number of guys that come through, you get to see the same umpires over and over and get to form a relationship with them.
So, I mean, I train umpires, and we talk, and we've done camps and clinics at your field. The main thing I talk about all the time is being relatable and without being a dictator.
Yep.
So, if you need something, you ask. If they do not, now you have to tell.
Yeah.
It's no different than when I'm with anyone. It's like, okay, this is how we kind of work through it. But I find a lot of, especially at the lower level, high school, travel ball umpires are very combative. And vice versa, I think also a lot of the coaches don't know how to talk.
Correct.
To umpires, where you're going to turn them off almost instantly.
Yeah.
And we have two people, one's talking in Swahili, the other one's talking in French, and we need to be talking in English.
That's it.
So I find it an interesting topic to talk to coaches and see what they look at when, okay, you have X umpire walk on that you've never seen before. What is your way of looking and trying to figure out what you have with an umpire?
Typically the plate meeting before the game will tell me about what I need to know and how I'm going to talk to or question or whatever the case may be, especially if it's somebody that I haven't ever met before. First impressions go a long way, and what they have to say and how they're saying it at the plate meeting tends to tell me everything I need to know right away.
Awesome. So, obviously, you have a gorgeous facility. You're trying to instill this family culture. What are the next steps for Ramona?
The CIF playoff run. Obviously, this year we would have been a D6 school based on how CIF had us scheduled. Getting past that second round, we've made it there a couple times in the years that I've been there. Getting past that hurdle, the quarters, the semis, obviously a CIF championship would be awesome. And we've had some recent success. Our girls basketball team made their state run this last year. Our football team made the finals. Just getting that banner up would be a huge accomplishment. For the school, for the community, for everybody Ramona related.
So now we're going to talk about this summer. So this summer obviously is a different animal than you or I or anybody else is used to.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the things that you guys are trying to instill while your athletes are safe at home, or safely social distancing while we work out and talk with our Purell?
That's it.
What are things that you're telling your athletes to do? What would be things you'd recommend for athletes to do right now?
Obviously, the summer season that we had anticipated gone. With the existing kids on the roster, we have our weekly Google Meets meetings. We are encouraging our kids to do as much weight room type stuff, even if it's jailhouse workout type stuff, the push-ups, the dips, the steps on the curb, whatever it can be, lunge walks, etc. Get as much of that in to come in as physically fit as humanly possible. Obviously, we're going to need to start over with a throwing program just to get arm strength built back up. Not everybody has access to go out or the ability to go out and play catch, so I'm not worried about that. I'm encouraging our guys regularly to get as big as possible. We don't want to swing wet newspapers when we're making contact. We want the ball to jump. So my emphasis to the kids that I've been talking with have been get into the weight room or do your workouts to the best that you can. Obviously, some kids may have gym equipment at home and they're getting a chance to do that. Others are going to have to do it the old school way with the push-ups and whatnot. But get big, get strong.
I know a lot of the families just in the local area have contacted me about fitness equipment.
Yep.
Also, you guys allow kids to actually, I don't want to say rent, but borrow equipment from your gym, bring them home, they check it out, and then they can bring it back.
Absolutely.
So if you have opportunities to do any type of lifting, are you doing that on social media so it feels still like that family? Are you posting the workouts, or are you just talking about it and letting them do it on their own?
For the baseball side of things, it's more or less on their own to the fit of what they have the ability to do. Coach Mush and our football programs posting a lot of Instagram stuff and giving kids suggestions for workouts and posting workouts that kids are doing. So I'm encouraging our guys to follow those as well. They're all universal lifts, so it's not football specific or baseball specific, but we're kind of following the lead of football. I'm not too techie, so I don't post too much stuff.
As you say that, as we sit in the tech room.
Yes, exactly.
So how many of your players actually play football and do both sports?
We had 3 guys on the varsity team this year that were contributors on, they were basically starters on the football team. So 2 of them were outfielders. One was the kick returner. One was a Z-back receiver. And then the other one was on the defensive line, who also pitched for us. So getting his arm into shape after football was our big priority with him.
Okay. So now we're looking at, okay, you have to work out this summer. We're not sure. Obviously, I work with Perfect Game and a lot of the travel ball companies, and they're hoping for July, August, September, and compressing it.
Yeah.
What are you guys trying to say? Like, all right, you've worked out. We're hoping to either have a fall season, which you and I have worked with on before, or there may be a little bit of travel ball. But what can seniors, juniors do for a roadmap to try to get to that next level for you for this next year? What words of advice would you give for those parents?
Have your kids diligently doing their classwork. When coaches call and ask about grades, if they don't have it, I just have to say, sorry, coach. As a teacher, I'm putting assignments on the Google Classroom regularly, and the AP class that I teach. Kids, here's how you're going to be able to earn that 3, 4, 5 to hopefully get the college credit. Classwork is obviously by far the number one thing. After that, get bigger. You had mentioned USC earlier and before we got on camera, and just how big some of those guys are. Again, being a 16, 17, maybe 18-year-old, you're not there yet physically, but you're going to have to be if you want to compete at that forum. So make sure that you are doing the little things. And again, I'm big on dot I's and cross T's. Make sure you're doing what you need to prepare yourself for the next endeavor. And it may be the military for some of these kids, but you had better be able to do all those little things right there. Otherwise, you're getting chewed out in a quick hurry.
I know, and I appreciate you saying that, because a lot of coaches emphasize, okay, you need arm strength, you need speed, you need to get bigger. That's all well and true, but baseball specifically doesn't have as many scholarships as football or basketball per the capita of the actual roster that they're talking about.
Yeah.
So you have to be smarter and be able to get that scholarship or that grant money, or because everyone's fast is going to be different.
Yes.
Every parent's lifestyle is going to be different. So you may have a kid that technically could get a third scholarship, but because they have so much leadership or grant money coming in from other opportunities that they did during their academic career, that they can now start to build a better profile for a coach that realistically they may have been a bubble person for, but now they don't have to give as much of that little allotment of scholarships that they have.
Yeah. Yeah, no, when I went to Cal State, I was a walk-on guy. And you get to know who the scholarship guys are, But yeah, having other realms of helping the coach out to make sure your team's as good as possible is something that is invaluable, especially to the next level coach. If they know you're a full ride on the academic end, A, they don't have to worry about you in your classes, but B, you're a freebie for them. So I'm big on academics. Our field is below our campus, so I'm always talking about up there. You have to take care of business up there to even be eligible to come down here. So it's definitely a privilege to play baseball. It's definitely not a right. So emphasizing the schoolwork aspect of things is huge.
I think a lot of us are finding out that a lot of things are privileges, not rights, that we were used to
absolutely
3 months
days.
ago. So obviously we're in a whole new world now with technology. Baseball's already started to embrace technology.
Yep.
I know you said you're more analog than digital.
Yep.
But what are some of the technologies that you've embraced and will continue want to try to develop over the next year and a half for your athletes?
The scanning of or implementation of the analytic stuff, it's huge. It can be helpful. And again, I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket. You can, if you've been doing this long enough, you can see what a kid's doing right, what a kid's doing wrong, whether it's hitting or throwing or, stuff like that. But having some of these tools at our disposal, you'd be silly not to try to use them. Obviously, the radar guns can tell you, oh, this kid's throwing X miles an hour, and you now have spin rate and all that kind of stuff. But you can see that with the naked eye if a kid's throwing hard or not. So you don't necessarily need all the tools and gadgets. But there are some definite technological things out there that can benefit you. We do some, especially when we get into season, but videotaping of BP, and then, one station's in the dugout breaking your swing down so that you can come back out and try to work on it right away. Mm-hmm. Get into that uncomfortable zone to where when you get into the game, you are comfortable.
I know one of the things that my college coach did when, obviously we all send in, or at least we used to, you'd send in, okay, this is my highlight reel.
Yep.
And my coach sat down with me my first time and goes, okay, here's my highlight reel. I'm like, okay. He goes, what did you do wrong? And I'm like, this is my highlight reel. And you had to break down your highlight reel on talking about where your holes were.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you're doing that, but why, you're dipping too much here. Why did you take that angle rounding on a double where,
yeah.
And so it's trying to think of your successes and how you can maximize it. I love video for that point. I'm probably the biggest video nut when it comes to my personal profession. I love looking and figuring out, okay, am I slightly tilted here? Can I work on this here? And so that way I have an economy of parts. So everything, when it is off, I can fix it faster.
Yep. Self-modification.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're running out of time here because he just walked by. I'm going to have you leave the folks at home with one thing. So if you could give one piece of advice for all the kids at home that are looking for hope in sports, what would it be?
Know that you are missed. Coaches, and we meet regularly. We're texting regularly. We want to be out there with you guys. Just stay strong. Know that we are going to get through this, and when the day comes, we're amped up. We're ready to get back out there with you. Just know that you're missed right now. There's not a coach right now that doesn't want to be out on the field with their kids. Just know that we're ready for you to come back and stay strong.
I appreciate it, Clint.
Thank you very much.
This has been Inland Empire Sports Talk with Clint Ball from Ramona, and this is sponsored by BSN Sports. Thanks, everyone. God bless.